The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Making their way to the set, it's Sam the Lionheart, and Raw is Warren!
Welcome back for another Scheduled for One Fall podcast. I'm Sam the Lionheart.
And I'm Roz Warren.
And we've got quite a week of wrestling.
We finally do. You know, we've been in a coma for the last couple weeks because that's exactly how the wrestling world has been, waiting for the draft. It finally happened, and Sam, to be honest with you, it went a lot better than I expected.
It was definitely smoother than I expected. I came out from the draft more optimistic than I ever was before the draft. I thought they were going to, pull a lot of the quirky, we're splitting guys up, or, like what was it? They had a one draft where they split up Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys, and you were just like, why?
Why are you going to such lengths to destroy all of the teams we love? No, they definitely were pretty clear with the Kalisto and Sin Cara split prior to that was an intention there. But other than that, they kept the crews together.
Yeah.
And I think they put, generally, the people on the right shows. There's a couple things that I know some other analysts have already touched on that we will touch on because I feel like they were crimes. Some people were omitted completely that I didn't see coming. And some picks from NXT were really surprising in a way, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes.
By surprising, I think you mean completely unjustifiable, but
we'll
get there. I think we should start at the top. And
great.
Your opinions on the number one pick.
My personal opinion is that Seth Rollins deserves the number one pick. I think that the audience is obviously high on him with his return. They've missed him over the last year because they realized how much he had grown since being the pseudo guy. Now he might very well eclipse Roman Reigns, especially when you take a look at Roman's recent drug wellness program challenges.
Wellness policy, yeah.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
I still know exactly what it was supposed to be for, if it was steroids or not.
But they covered that up real hard. They did not want us to know. That's fine. We're moving forward. It resulted in an excellent draft. I'm happy about Seth at 1. You?
Well, I don't know if I should talk about it now or later. I'm totally fine with Seth being number one. I think he's a very valid number one. I even think Dean Ambrose is a valid number one, although I would definitely pick Seth Rollins over Dean, and especially considering Raw had the number one pick, Stephanie picking Dean would have just been, swerve-tastic.
Correct.
However, with draft psychology, it could have been sort of a neener, I'm taking your pick. Do you want Seth that bad? And they don't get along, so they wouldn't pick him. But the major crime is that given the rules of the draft, that tag teams go as one, there is one crime that needs to be rectified, and that is how the fuck is the New Day not the number one pick? You get 3 superstars for the price of 1. You get tag team champions.
Yep.
You get the number 1 rated segment of Raw and SmackDown for almost the entire stretch leading up to at least the last pay-per-view. You get solid work. You get 3 for the price of 1.
I understand where you're coming from a little bit because obviously the New Day has been one of the most watchable segments for the last several months. The truth of the matter is, however, is that they have exhausted a lot of New Day's options right now. The recent story with the Wyatt family is kind of alluding to the fact that Xavier Woods, of all of the 3, might be destined for more character work, more of a breaking out personality-wise, maybe, with the way they've been using him. And so I could see them going in different directions with the New Day sooner rather than later.
Are you teasing me with an Xavier Woods singles run?
I'm suggesting that I've been intrigued watching Xavier Woods this past month, and I know you have too.
Of course.
As we have consistently been intrigued by Xavier Woods since the New Day run began.
Right.
So
the IWC has constantly been like, man, I wish I could watch Xavier Woods wrestle more.
Well, in a way, at the same time, he's been adding layers at every chance that he's gotten to really add more to his overall repertoire, and his acting's been solid by anybody's standards.
I think he's the first guy to really put over Bray Wyatt to me.
True.
To
absolutely.
really put over the spooky, scary side.
Yeah, thank you, Xavier Woods, for that. More on that when we hit on Battleground, which we will be covering in this podcast as well. Number 2 pick, Dean Ambrose. I think it was
Has to be.
Fucking important to get the main title on SmackDown. That's the show that they're strapping audience favorite, Daniel Bryan to, and audience heartthrob Shane McMahon. I think heartthrob's the wrong word, but you know where I'm going.
I think it's appropriate for you.
Wrestle Boner. I shouldn't have said Wrestle Boner right before you pointed that out. Point is, Dean Ambrose going number 2, being the face of SmackDown, carrying the title over to the blue brand. Very, very important.
If the title's not number 1, and that's the only reason I can honestly justify, or I can say that New Day doesn't go number 1, is you do have to make the big strap important. Wow, and that's the overlying theme of the brand, of the drafting and the rebranding, is to make everything that much more important, to add weight, whether it's you're representing a brand, not just the company. Now you're representing, where the belt. Yes, continue.
No, I was going to say, your point, as soon as it's concluded, leads right into the next pick, in my opinion. Charlotte, number 3, was perfect.
Yep.
The flagship show needs to showcase the women, and they did that. Putting her at number 3 puts her over in a way Ric Flair and Dana Brooke never did. That belt, that legacy that they're building moving forward needed to be on Raw. So happy to see number 3 go to Charlotte.
I think when Charlotte was picked at number 3 was when I was like, okay, this draft might matter.
This might be smart.
Yeah. Because having Seth and Dean go number 1 and 2, regardless of the order where they go, still kind of expected, still what you're gearing up for. And then I think the IWC would clamor for, the female wrestlers being picked right in line with the male wrestlers, which is what we've gotten for the most part.
Absolutely.
And having it be Stephanie, and Mick, who just their personality types,
Right.
And the fact that it's basically heel drafting heel champion and all that stuff, So the first early picks of the draft were able to establish, not only the themes of the draft and the rebrand, but also to make sure that we understand where everyone's loyalty lies and what they're looking for. They didn't draft exclusively, face and
bad
heel.
Guy, good guy, bad guy, good guy.
But it did exemplify where they put that importance.
I agree. I felt like the first round of the draft did take an interesting turn. I did not expect AJ Styles at number 4 going to SmackDown.
Yeah,
and
AJ was real high.
I did not expect. Well, I wouldn't say real high. I would say he was going to be in the top 10 picks.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
A 9er.
I didn't expect him to go for the 2nd overall pick, topping guys like Brock, Reigns, Cena, Orton. Mainstay guys. Definitely surprised by that. Happy for him. Because obviously WWE is really trying to give us the impression that AJ Styles isn't just going to be a flash in the pan. We finally got him, and there he goes kind of circumstance.
Right, and that's the guy I think that everyone's talking about going real low is John Cena.
Well,
not officially face of the company anymore.
Right, and they're talking about his role going down soon. But
so he can host more TV shows.
Right, and do more daytime television. The truth of the matter is that we're brushing right over number 5. Finn Balor, drafted number 5 to Raw, is a humongous, notch in the belt for NXT. This guy, who, I think we both agree, has had actually relatively underwhelming ring work since he got to the E. He's great. However, he's very much like a Daniel Bryan, scrappy little brawler guy, minus the technical wrestling maneuvers, but obviously has this amazing presence, huge character. I think that overall was a humongous step for NXT. And going at number 5, Finn's going to walk in one of the most over individuals in the business immediately. And that's huge.
Well, that's a perfect point because I have been categorically soft on Finn Balor, as a fan.
Right.
And I think that he very much was just a victim of bad circumstance, being like one of the last great guys in NXT, Hideo Itami got injured, in between that Shinsuke Nakamura premiere, it was just it was him and Samoa Joe for fucking ever,
right?
And even before that, it was like, shit, we got to pull guys back for Finn Balor to wrestle. We gotta pull Sami Zayn back to get this guy
Neville
over.
Back, I think.
Gotta bring Neville, yeah. So I was very soft on him ring work wise. I think that he kind of shot up really quick, and that was kind of the problem with bringing up all these NXT guys for him, was that he just he was just, how do I put it? I don't want to say that he got the Roman Reigns treatment, but he shot up really fast and then had nothing to do. He just kind of sat there, and they had to bring in cage matches to make it exciting. They had to do all kinds of stuff that I just kind of was like, okay, Finn Balor, I get it. You do a fucking Pele kick like once a match,
right?
Come on. So him getting drafted that early, that quick,
yeah.
Being the first NXT guy, that got me hot on him again. That got me excited to see him, and it really was cementing that point in the draft where I was like, wow, Raw is really fucking winning this thing.
Okay, and I think you and I are going to talk, in a contrasting fashion to that. I feel like SmackDown drafted well for what SmackDown wants to build.
Oh yeah,
having a lot of cornerstones like Randy and Cena.
They did a great job for being the B brand. Yes.
Right, but I feel like with who they got, they have the potential to give Raw a run for its money, especially when you take into account the popularity of the authority figures, the brand new live nature of the show, the WWE Champion being on there. Like, we're going to see some guys really blossom on the SmackDown brand. Now, I don't want to go pick by pick. I really don't, because I don't think we have enough time. We don't want to bicker over those guys who did go top 30 and then the supplemental draft, because quite honestly, we don't remember them all anyway. So, here's the deal. A couple of disappointments and a couple of pluses, if we can, moving forward past the first round. New Day to Raw, good. You got to be on the flagship show. Keeping the club on Raw and similar tag teams that have that veritable and no need to continue to push them because they're already hyped kind of level. I think they kept on Raw and did a good job with that. Your Enzos and Casses, your New Day, your club, those guys who were already the top of that division remain on Raw. Excellent. The women division on Raw, beautiful. How about Nia Jax coming up from NXT? How was that pick for you?
When it comes to pretty much all the NXT picks that weren't Finn Balor, it sort of felt like, okay, you get 6 picks. I kind of know who the guys are. There's only one that really surprised me, and it, not so much surprise as utter fucking disdain, but you know who it is.
Right.
We just saw him on Battleground.
It is disappointing to know that Mojo Rawley has gotten what appears to be a relative clean pass for the fact that he is as widely known to be so bad in the ring. The ring psychology is just god-awful. And literally, they display that on Breaking Ground. They talk about it on NXT. Mojo's just some hothead who's now on the main roster. And it can only be because...
What announcer can put this guy over?
It's going to take Mauro Ranallo at his finest and no Corey Graves to snide him down, because I think it's so easy to do so.
But I do love the way he says, uppercut party.
JBL loves lariats, so Mojo's safe there.
Yeah.
So with Mauro and JBL as your commentary team on SmackDown, great team, by the way. Good pick. Love seeing Corey to Raw. I think that's the only way they're going to gain some traction. Obviously, they're going to put him with Zack Ryder a little bit and continue that. And we'll see if they,
another reason why Raw won the draft.
Well, and Raw did a good job. They picked up 3 of the titles, right? We've got the women's title, which is almost the major title on the show. Thank you. Very well done. The tag team titles and a great tag team division behind them. They got the U.S. title with Rusev, who's really, like I've said before, poised to make a pretty dramatic run towards the top of the card.
Right.
If you don't mind me saying, I just think he's a sleeper pick for me to really get the most out of this split. I
will say real quick before we get too off topic and we're talking about the belts, I'm very sad to see Enzo and Cass getting sort of further from the tag team belts.
Well, they remain on Raw.
Right, but which is very good that they're going to stay on the same show with the belts, but we keep seeing them getting further and further from that title shot, and they keep getting wrapped up in other stuff.
For now, I mean, right now the New Day are solid and together, and obviously the faces of the division, and one of the top face clans in the company, most watchable, etc., etc.
Feuding against a clan that got broken up by the draft.
Right. Well, I mean, they're gonna get to play with at least those two, and then can we at least throw out that Finn Balor might reform the New Japan version of the club with AJ out.
That's a possibility.
There's your new 3. That's going to help put over Finn even more as he feuds with the hottest group in the tag team division. So Enzo and Cass don't need those titles right now. I think we saw that tonight with Battleground, which again we'll get to. They don't need it. So moving forward, a couple other picks. Baron Corbin going above Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler.
Crime. Crime.
I agree. Cesaro to Raw.
Illegal.
Cesaro to Raw at even and we'll talk about Cesaro's. I don't know if you caught any of Cesaro's candid reactions over the last couple days, but he talked very openly through a WWE.com interview, and then he talked very openly at the kickoff panel tonight, and all of it was just I'm over it. I'm over the bull that keeps me from being.
It put a very bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And with that, I actually give me a second. I have to get a drink of water because that put a huge, terrible taste in my mouth. So I just have to wash that down really quick.
Yeah, that's fine. If you move the mouse, that will complete what you were hoping to object. Yeah. Anyway, podcasting unscripted, folks. Here's the deal. That did leave a bad taste in my mouth. I think Cesaro needs to be careful. And I swear to God, when he was, you didn't see it, I don't think, but on the kickoff panel, when he was giving his candid speech about, climbing the ladder and not saying what you're going to do, but doing what you're going to do in the ring, he talked for a good 3 minutes, and Renee Young gave him, I wish we could mask bitch face. She was just we need to move on.
Yeah.
Can we focus on what's going on? Can you tell us who's winning?
Don't ruin my paycheck to boost yours, basically.
Very interesting. I think Cesaro has a legitimate chip on his shoulder.
That's exactly his point, is he's basically saying, fuck the backstage politics, which has been a thing forever.
Right.
But he's saying, fuck it, just because I can't glad hand you and talk to you, backstage and get your approval. Watch what I do in the ring. Look at the Cesaro section. It's been growing. I've never seen it get smaller.
Right.
It only gets closer to the ring, and he finds it. He finds the Cesaro section every fucking week. If that's not,
grabbing the brass ring.
Right. If that's not pushing your brand, if that's not literally everything Vince has ever talked about, looking for in a guy, putting in the work, doing the travel, sucking up the injuries, fighting through it, putting on the best match you possibly can every night. The guy's gimmick is basically that he does extraneous work in the ring.
Yeah.
He goes out of his way to impress you in a medium that is supposed to be impressive on its own.
And that's why I don't entirely hate what he's been doing on the mic since the draft. However, Cesaro, homie, don't make enemies backstage. You gotta calm it down. Be concise with your speeches. Make your point in the ring like you continue to do. It's so scary to think that you could get some heat backstage and lose any sort of momentum you had.
And yet coming out and being extremely frustrated in a legitimate way is how guys like The Rock, Stone Cold, Mick Foley, even to an extent The Undertaker when he became the American Badass, CM Punks, basically anybody who didn't get over during the PG era got over because they went out and said, I'm fucking pissed. This is fucking bullshit, and I do everything I can, and if I'm not going to be rewarded for it, fuck it.
Well, let's hope that he's not, like I said, not given any heat backstage. He needs to continue to be given opportunities to gain momentum. The draft is intended for that for so many great minds and wrestlers.
But look at guys like Cody Rhodes and Ryback who did believe in those opportunities, and they rode those opportunities. They took those opportunities. You could argue whether or not they did the best with them. I think a lot of people like Ryback more than I do, and I think I like Cody Rhodes more than a lot of people.
Right.
And so both those guys have a legitimate fan base. There's legitimate outcry for when they both left due to, circumstances with the company. Yeah, And if you let Cesaro go, if you let him slip through your fingers,
he's going.
He's a fucking star.
To destroy.
The guy's a fucking star
in the ring.
Yeah,
just virtually everything you can put out there. And so we'll just cross our fingers. Tread lightly, Cesaro.
Yeah.
Please tread lightly.
Please excel. Please succeed.
So Baron and Dolph end up on SmackDown. They're pushing Baron.
We get more Baron versus Dolph
by getting Baron.
Does anyone want that?
Where they drafted him, I think that gave him a similar notch in his belt that NXT got from Finn's pick. But I still disagree with him going before guys like Chris Jericho and Cesaro. Both to Raw.
Yeah.
But they see something in Baron, and legitimately, he's been improving his ring work. Just a surprising pick from me. Other surprises.
The biggest surprise to me has got to be that, Chris Jericho went after part-timers, I think the biggest surprise to me is Randy Orton, and it's only because I get that they're trying to, bring him back in with steam. They're trying to build him up and shit, They draft him right next to Brock Lesnar. It's very obvious what they're doing. But to put that so high in the draft, I think, was a mistake. It really kind of surprised me, because as a branding draft, you're essentially drafting guys that aren't going to be there for you week in and week out on your shows.
Right.
So,
yeah.
My point is, you're going to draft Randy Orton next to Brock Lesnar. That was the point.
Yes.
Those guys can be 9 and 10. Those guys can be 8 and 9. They could be fucking 11 and 12.
I don't know. Drafting Brock high needed to happen. But I think everybody ended up generally on the shows that I agree with. The Cruiserweight division comes back to Raw. One of the
huge asset for Raw.
Huge asset for Raw.
Another reason why Raw won the draft.
They're gonna get guys like Neville and Finn Balor and Sami Zayn headlining that division more than anything. On the other side of it, my disappointment of the draft, and another analyst already touched on this, and I'm sorry to rehash his work, but it truly did disappoint me to see Sin Cara to Raw, but Kalisto to SmackDown. I don't understand when Kalisto, he won the U.S. title as, the exciting Lucha Libre young star.
Right.
And now he's left off the show that's going to highlight, cruiserweights. And I would hope that sooner rather than later we can organize a storyline trade or something.
I think that's
or a
good
good
for him,
old-fashioned run in.
I think that's good for him, though, because I think that there's still a part of me that thinks the cruiserweights are going to be a sideshow, a gimmick, and that this is going to give Kalisto the opportunity to not just be another Rey Mysterio who got to, singles fame after winning the cruiserweight and being cruiserweight guy for so long that he just had to blossom out of that when the belt went away.
Right.
The best thing that ever happened for Rey Mysterio, by the way, is that Eddie Guerrero won the WWE title and they got rid of the cruiserweight title. If those two things didn't happen, I don't think Rey Mysterio would have ever been a world champion. No offense to the guy, but
I would go so far as to potentially make enemies by saying he wouldn't have been champion if it hadn't been for Eddie's passing.
I didn't want to quite go there, but
I'm sorry.
Right? No.
He deserves it.
No, that's a different.
He deserves
right,
it, but
different,
that's political correct.
Right, different discussion, different podcast. But
yep.
That being said, you make a very good point. But I think that's good for Kalisto. I think it gives him an opportunity because Kalisto has shown me that he can work with non-luchador guys. That he can work with big guys. The guy made me want Ryback to get his job back.
Yeah.
And if that's not a fucking accolade,
right.
I don't know what your U.S. champion does then. But.
One thing that made me super happy about the draft. Sorry, you had a point you were going to make?
No, I was saying that if we're talking, by the time we talk about Baron Corbin and Kalisto, I think we've talked about the draft. I think we need to move on.
The one thing I do want to say happily is that Dana Brooke went 56th out of 60, including the supplemental draft. Thank you, wise decision makers. Excuse me, who didn't make her get a notch in her belt. I'm not sold on Dana. She irritates me.
She wears weird ring gear that
she had a muffin top tonight.
I mean,
keep yourself consistent if you're going to be the body girl.
Right?
Sorry.
No, that's a
not to be a misogynistic pig. I'm all for women who have regular bodies, but I just don't like you. Figure your shit out. So, what do you think? Real quick, were you disappointed at all to see women go at all to SmackDown?
No. From what I can tell, I don't think the belts being on one brand or the other necessarily determines number one contendership or anything or challengership. In fact, I think what it does is it's going to open up the opportunity to have Stephanie and Shane sit down and work out contract negotiations regularly between their superstars. And it's going to create bidding, sort of situations where, okay, look, you want your guy to get a shot at this title, you give my tag team a shot at your tag team champion.
Which tells us, and I think we saw it a little bit tonight too, I saw some storytelling happening.
Yeah.
And with the faces that they have in place, it's going to be hard to not incorporate some better storytelling. And tonight we saw a lot of matches that had some good in-ring storytelling, which is really exciting. I feel like, yes, in a perfect world, we're not going to see second championships for women and men come into play. We're not going to see each brand having its own of each. We're instead going to have
welfare titles.
Right. We're instead going to have, that back and forth, which, different differentiation and contenderships, and then more potential for the titles to be fluid. Right. So if that's the case, maybe the Callisto draft won't be so disappointing, but we'll see.
So you mentioned storytelling. Tonight on Battleground, which match had the best story being told?
I love and must pay credence to Austin Creed.
Yeah.
And Xavier Woods.
It feels like an easy pick, but I think it's the right one.
I think the storytelling in that match centering around Xavier Woods' lone apprehension to engage,
his reverence of
Bray Wyatt made Bray this bigger presence, and I think elevated that entire match, that entire finish. Xavier Woods got a great pop when he decided to man up, and got a great. He looked like a hero going down for his team. And I stand by what I said earlier. I feel like he has a lot of potential to break out from New Day. He's in the best position right now, despite quite a few losses recently. It's not about that with WWE. It's about how well you play your role, and he's doing it exceptionally well.
Tell that to Ryback,
right?
But tell that to Cody Rhodes and Stardust. But that being said, I have to give a lot of credit to the 6-man tag team match between the Bullet Club and Enzo and Cass and John Cena. I was kind of ready for that match to be a little run of the mill, a little subpar. I was ready to be a little bit of a hater.
Be a little hater. How you doing?
But those guys did the runaround. They did finisher shuffles. They did every little bit.
Beautiful.
They're little staggered with the hitting our own teammates kind of thing, but
it was a little weird.
I think this is like the first time all 6 of these guys have really wrestled. Like Enzo and Cass have been with the Bullet Club, but not all 3. They've had like little running bits, so it's really nice to see that match. They all brought a lot of intensity, a lot of energy. I didn't have to sit through a bunch of fucking rest holds.
Yes.
I didn't have to sit through a bunch of fucking talking to each other and doing the as much as I love good tag team wrestling, there's only so much I can watch the same guy get stomped in the corner without Xavier Woods playing a trombone.
Okay. I get where you're coming from. I don't think the match stole the show in my mind as much as I wanted it to.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it was match of the night or anything.
But one thing I do want to put over and continue to appreciate is the rise of guys who can talk right now. Oh, yeah. Young guys like Creed and Enzo Amore are
how you doing?
Really getting attention right now, and the crowd. I'm so happy to see them as over as they are, and that opening monologue from Enzo. And the nice compliment from Cass was great. Yeah, they gave him lots of time. The only thing that dragged it down for me was Cena's hamming it up. Like, everything he did, he's just like, oh, that's the climax. I'm so happy. And it's like, no, I got more. Like,
that's John Cena for you.
Slow your roll.
He stood up and bowed at one point, like, come on.
Yeah. I think it's Cena winding down his full-time career, and
whatever Cena does,
he's having fun.
Right, whatever Cena's doing for Enzo at this point, it's only good for his career.
It's a huge rub. Anytime Enzo and Cass go from NXT not winning the tag team championships in that brand, and then becoming, getting a rub by being in the same ring as 3 international stars and the face of the company. I mean, you guys are set.
Yeah.
Great to see. So I really appreciate that. Some other examples.
There's only one complaint I really have about that match, though, is after all the build-up, after the 4th of July show, after everything, I was ready to see 3 guys show up and beat up John Cena. And I didn't get any of that. I didn't get a 3-man John Cena beatdown. You know, all I got was fucking mom in the minivan and shit.
Which was a great line. I love the soccer mom from Cass.
Soccer mom chants happened.
Those were great. I thought it was an overall great program.
Oh yeah,
good
the
show.
pay-per-view was excellent. Only a couple downer parts, which we were expecting.
Hey,
you know,
Breezango gets a win.
I'm not gonna high five you over
Come
that.
on,
so no, I'm not high fiving Breezango.
Perfect finish too, with the Uso splash being countered by the gut and a roll up. Tyler Breeze gets the pin.
Right.
Go Breeze.
I love Tyler.
I love the two of them together. They look great. They're a
not
great
bad.
tag team.
They're not bad. I cannot fully endorse it just yet. Not until they get off the pre-show.
You better be ready because I think it's coming. They're a sleeper pick for me to take over the tag team titles sooner rather than later.
Right now they're still doing character gimmicky stuff, which is great. They're fleshing out their characters, which I feel like Tyler Breeze has been playing that character for so long he shouldn't have to. But you know he's got to prove something to the E, I believe. But all I'm waiting for is a good finish. Tyler Breeze doesn't have a good finisher. Fandango doesn't have a good finisher. They need a good tag team finish.
I dig the Unprettier since Tyler Breeze adopted it, but that's fine.
I mean, okay.
If you want to talk about a guy who doesn't have a finish, I mean, I still don't know what Enzo does to finish a match.
That's because he doesn't finish a match. He does.
I've never seen a finisher from Enzo.
I mean, it's technically just. I'm
you
sure
don't need it when he's got the gift of gab.
It's just a big splash. It's just a big splash. Even if Big Cass wasn't there to throw him, I'm sure he would end it with a big splash.
I think he would bounce off people
with a little tadpole splash.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So storytelling wise, it would take something so refreshing as a Bray Wyatt being put so cleanly over by Xavier Woods, so miraculously and what's the word? Plot line wise, like just great. In order to overshadow what was clearly the match of the night in Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. We knew it was going to be fantastic. And I have to say the storytelling there was wonderful too. With you know, we saw it about halfway through, the questionable maneuver by Sami where he went too deep on the ropes for his standard, you know, backflip over the rope on the springboard and fell on his shoulder and then sold that right forearm injury for the whole match.
Yeah.
I hope sincerely he doesn't have
left. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I hope it was his right if I recall correctly. But anyway, God, you guys, what a great match! If you haven't seen that, definitely one for the record books.
I'm almost annoyed that they continue to deliver so well on what are basically, you know, singles matches. You know, singles non-stipulation, no title, no reward, no contract matches. Right. You know, I'm annoyed that they still delivered. You know, because I'm waiting for it to be played out. I'm waiting for WWE to have screwed the pooch and played their hand too early and done it too much and put them on the same show and have them fight every week, you know, and all this shit. And tonight they fucking delivered on shit I've never seen before. Yep. They told the story. Yep. They did the perfect ending. God, Sami Zayn finally got that win that we're all like, man. Yeah, Sami's got to get a win. He finally gets the win.
And by doing the double finisher, it doesn't weaken Owens at all.
No, it only puts him over more
at all. Sami looks like a star. What a great match. Fantastic back and forth. One of my favorite moments that really did put Kevin over too was the half Nelson facebuster.
Yeah.
Where Kevin pops right back up and says, "Nope, I'm not done," and then eats another one, and then he's dazed.
Half and half suplex.
Half and half suplex. Half Nelson facebuster. I'm okay with that. Whatever. Very, very good. Very good match.
I guess Owens does kind of go all the way over on it.
Yeah, he eats it well. And it's a great match. Go back and watch that one. Definitely match of the night. However...
See, I was ready to call that match of the night, but for once, I guess you could say, not to sound like, you know, an IWC guy, but I think the main event actually delivered as the match of the night tonight. It had all the storytelling I needed. It had the acrobatics I needed. It had the shieldness that I needed. Now, I don't think it's the best match these guys could have done. It's not the WrestleMania match, which is still gonna come.
I felt that too.
Yeah, it felt like these guys weren't putting it all out there, but that makes sense. It's the first time they've had the triple threat, and what was important tonight was the locker rooms watching. They put that extra emphasis. The fact that now you're not only fighting to be the best in the business, you're fighting for your brand, you're fighting for your GM, you're fighting for people who picked you to be the best. I loved the Daniel Bryan hype up speech. Mm-hmm. I loved, Dean Ambrose finally not being I'm the guy who's going to fight all the guys and beat the guys because I'm the guy,
As another fine example of storytelling tonight. That simple fired up moment, and nobody can capture that so well as Daniel Bryan, and the passion he obviously has. It's going to be hard to restrain that from actually affecting the stories we see.
Right, Daniel Bryan's experience as getting fucked over by the Authority for eons, it felt like forever, and rising just to prove he's the best fucking wrestler makes him, canonically, storyline-wise, the best guy, the best person to give you that speech, to give you that hype speech.
Yes.
And that's all we've been waiting for from Dean Ambrose, was to stop being I'll just fight anybody because I'm just fighting. Who gives a shit with the belt?
That was really bothering you. Well,
now he comes out and he says, look, you guys picked me to be the best, and I'm going to fucking prove it.
Yes. And I feel like that was WWE tonight was a reminder that they're coming out of a coma. It's a new
day. Yes, it is.
Great match. Good fun. I loved the callback to the Roman Reigns powerbomb where he ate it this time, and the momentary alliance broken by the replay of Seth Rollins' chair shot. And I love those little touches, and I'm hoping that's the stuff we're going to continue to see. Creative minds coming together to get the most out of what's happening in the ring. And there is one caveat that I think we touched on, and I did want to make one other point about the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens thing. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you guys, our viewers here, tell us, is this not the beginning... because it feels fresh every time. Could this be the beginning of a feud a la Rock and Austin? Is this the beginning of a feud a la Angle and Benoit? Is this the beginning of a feud a la Triple H, Shawn Michaels, where it doesn't matter how many times they lock up, they're gonna give us a different wrinkle and it's gonna be fresh every time? What do you guys think? I'm behind it. I think it's gonna happen. I think I could watch these guys wrestle every day of my life.
I could see it as the Michaels Triple H thing down the road. It kind of sucks that most of that history wasn't on WWE television, so it's kind of hard to compare it.
Which is why it's so cool they're actually displaying it.
Right. Yeah, and they reference it, they mention it, they talk about how they wrestled all over the world. We've talked about how WWE does a much better job at broadcasting worldwide wrestling, even if they're not going to name any company other than companies who sign contracts with them, but that's business.
Right.
But I don't think I could ever compare it to Rock and Austin, because what made Rock Austin so great was it was these two guys that almost ascended, completely opposite of each other, avoiding each other almost, not really wrestling ever till they got so big that it was like, how the fuck have we not had Rock versus Austin? And then at that point they said, well, shit, now it's got to be a WrestleMania thing.
Right.
Now we got to wait for the WrestleMania thing, which is why you get why you get the Triple H and you get the Austin going off TV. You got the infamous "I did it for the Rock," hitting him with the car thing. They had to prolong that for so long and set that up and gimmick it and machine it because it had been to such a point where you're like, how the fuck do these guys have not fought yet? And you had to find a way to divide it. At this point, it's more like, man, we could just let these guys fucking go in chicken wire, and they'll put on a fucking great match.
Like Angle and Benoit. I think that's fair.
Yeah, just two guys who are so good and so similar, and
chemistry and passion.
Right, have every angle of every match.
Yeah, loved it. This was the big payoff tonight. They're still on the same show. I can't wait to see how they come back together and have another match next time. So my caveat, I was going to touch on one quick thing. Dear Dean Ambrose, when you're going to finish the match with Dirty Deeds, pulling a guy off of Seth, off of the prone dude to complete your finisher, hit the gut kick, rake the eye, kick him in the nuts. It's no DQ. Show the desperation. Do one more thing that makes it a little bit more believable that you could
fucking hair grab.
Yeah.
In the tuck, you know.
Yeah.
That's what we loved about Dean for so long, and we got so kind of tired of him doing it almost excessively. Now he doesn't do it at all, you know. I loved all the finger cranks, all the wrist locks, all the different turns. You know, he would hook the arm and hammerlock and then the suplex, you know. All that little shit is great. It adds character. And now when you need it the most is when you're fucking denying me.
I hate it. I did not like how he could just take... Like, it's like me grabbing you and then just putting you in that hard hold.
Yeah.
We're substantially different men.
It doesn't work for a pedigree. It doesn't work for any finisher, really. You know?
Hit the gut kick, impair them, make it look like they have no way that they can get out of this hold.
Fucking, you know...
The same thing happened with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah,
You know, Xavier
walk around with you cradled, you know.
Can you... I mean, fish hook him. Do something that makes it look like, well, you got me. I was making a joke. Is that a nerve hold he grabs them with?
And it might be up to the other guy to struggle a bit or something to make it be like, oh, he's got it cinched in.
Right.
But the finisher has always been the move that you either catch the guy with that in nowhere or you drag his fucking body up and he can't counter it.
Right.
You know, it's one of those two. It's either the exclamation point on the beatdown because you've opportunisted your way, you know, to that spot where they can't fight back.
Right.
Which is what was so great about the blackout, the curb stomp, you know, all that shit.
I still wish they'd revive
was that
it.
You'd always get guys groggied and be like, this is the moment where you're donezo. And then now you've got you know, guys who got to hit their finisher from out of nowhere, and the double arm DDT is not that move. The double arm DDT is accentuated by the fact that you are hooking the arms away so there's no protection. It's a complete face fall, and it's a dirty, grimy move where you put all your fucking weight into it, where you hook a guy and you say, you're going the fuck down. You know, it's very similar to the pedigree. You know, it was a hardcore wrestler's finisher, you know, and to just sort of
set it up.
Yeah, to sort of set up a guy and just sort of be like, you know, like, come on, like... You know, it almost looks like he's just, you know,
Dean,
pulling back the bar for like a roller coaster. He's just like,
whee! That's,
you know.
It's a great analogy. I would like to see him, again, I've said this on past casts, I don't mean to repeat myself, but can we knee tremble this? Can we bring that back? Can we bring back the Regal Stretch? Add some depth to your repertoire a little bit, Dean, so that your drama can be played out more fully. It's the one thing that your in-ring work might be lacking as you ascend and cement yourself as a top-tier guy. Again,
the irony is that he used to do all of this, and we got tired of it because he would do it and then lose. He would do it and it didn't matter. He would do it and then he would just get destroyed by Brock Lesnar in 20 seconds afterwards. You know, now that he's got the belt and he's doing great wrestling moves, he's doing good promo work, now we're sort of losing that edge. All of his finishes are just sort of like, hey, get off me. Oh, but wait, the finisher.
Right.
You know? Or I'm going to walk up behind you and spin you around and drop you, you know?
And, you know, sometimes he hits the gut kick, but in that moment he didn't, and it was just so...
The stunner.
It felt so choreographed.
The stunner, you know, it's the patented gut kick, you know, that sets up every move.
Right.
You know, it's literally how you did finishers in video games up until like 2006. You know, you had to gut kick the guy or get him groggy or something. You know, you had to set him up. And it's been used for just about every finisher that doesn't have a huge call to it. You know, or isn't just out of nowhere.
Wake up taunt or whatever.
Or something. Yeah. So I think that's a good point. I think that's a good
closing statement.
Yeah,
that's what we want to see from you, Dean. We believe in you.
Right,
just
and that's
burn the extra calorie. You do so much work already.
Right, and that's what we want to hear from you guys as well. Is in the comments. You know, is that important to you? Is that necessary for wrestling? Do you need that extra bit of, you know, believability, if you will?
And on a night when I think they did so well capturing believability from Rusev re-locking on the accolade the new way he does, there's some believability to that finish. There's some I'm sorry, I was going to use the Miz and Darren Young match as a way to give you believability, but I have never seen an old man flop so blatantly poor.
And I still don't know how that match ended, but that's That's for another
water under
discussion.
the bridge, because
Yeah.
otherwise, fantastic show. And I
Right.
think we both can say it's nice to be out of a coma. We're so excited for this next week of wrestling.
Yep.
I hope I get the opportunity to see some of it. I was definitely plagued with scheduling challenges recently, but hey, that's the beauty of it. You come back in, you watch a great match, and I feel like with Mick Foley and Daniel Bryan being such pivotal characters, the storytelling is what might come out of this as the sleeper renaissance for this brand extension. So, I'm Roz Warren.
I'm Sam the Lionheart.
You guys have been awesome. It gets better with all of your feedback. Give us as much as you can. That's all that we care about moving forward. And we'll see who goes over on the next scheduled for One Fall.
See you guys next week.
Later.